What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Form Check Week. This is going to be day 7. We got one more day tomorrow to wrap the whole thing up. I don't know how 1 week turned into 8 days, but we went Friday to Friday, and that's just how we're going to do it. So I hope everybody's okay with one extra Form Check video in this whole Form Check Week thing. So I hope everybody's okay with 8 instead of 7. Hopefully you all can live with that and forgive us for that travesty. Like I say in every video, we do have some new apparel for sale. We have an in-depth form check service, much like a snapshot of online coaching, sort of a consultation where we take and analyze your videos, and we'll provide you with cues and feedback on your faults. We'll provide you with accessory exercises, supplemental exercises to target potential muscle groups that are weak, as well as a personalized video to help you get on track and to help you become more efficient in your lifts. So if you guys are looking to do that, again, check out calgarybarbell.com. But let's get right down to it. Our first submission today comes from Samar. Now Samar's doing some deadlifts here, and as you can see, his back rounds out pretty bad. Not using a lot of legs here. I think this is just a classic case of letting that weight get up above what you're able to lift with good technique. Now, what I would like to see you do specifically in terms of the cues I would give you are to, 1, make sure we're keeping flat in that back and not letting the hips come up and letting that back round out. That's one thing that's happening. Number 2, sit your butt down a little bit, learn to use your quads and be a little bit more patient off the floor. We want to try to create a position where we're able to maintain hip and shoulder angle and just extend the knees to get it moving without this happening, without the hips shooting up behind you and getting closer to an almost horizontal hip angle, or sorry, horizontal back angle. Number 3, stop, touch, and going your reps. I want you to make sure that the bar comes to a dead stop and is completely reset every repetition you do. I think that's also going to go a long ways towards making sure you're able to create and maintain a good starting position off the floor. If you don't ever pull from that position, or you only pull 1 rep per set from that position, it's going to make it harder to recreate. It's going to provide you less practice for that, so let's practice that. Josh, my man, is doing some squats here, and he says he tends to get into a little bit of squat morning position. I think the biggest reason for that is you are going too deep, my man. I would like to see you cut that squat maybe 1 inch, 2 inches higher, so you're undeniably below parallel, but not to the point where you're starting to round out in the back, losing a lot of bracing, a lot of positioning, and allowing that bar to kind of pull you forward. That's what's happening here, as far as I can tell. So you're getting to a point where you're at depth, and then you're going another 2-3 inches into the bottom, losing position, the bar's pulling you forward, and then you're having to kind of either squat morning it and or try and regain your back angle to get things back into a good position to finish the lift. So stop squatting so deep, cut them a little bit higher, see if you can maintain a little bit better control into and out of the hole. Our next submission is a deadlift video. This one comes from an unnamed submitter known only as VB Muscle. And VB Muscle here is doing some deadlifts. Now, the mechanics look pretty good. The back's locked in, the legs are doing the majority of the work. The back angle isn't going into extreme or really any flexion, which I really like. One thing I would try to do is I would try to sink your hips just a tiny bit. Again, we're pretty close to an almost horizontal back angle here. I think if we can get into a little bit of a more upright position, I think that's going to do a lot for you. Being able to get the quads working at the beginning of the pull is going to contribute to that, and making sure that you stay a little bit more upright throughout the lift. So those are my main tips there. Hopefully one of those helps you out a little bit. All right, our next video submission is some sumo deadlifts coming from Kimi. And there's a couple things going on here. Number 1, you're doing a decent job with your shoulder positioning, but that's leading to you being far too rounded over and out over the barbell. So in terms of your shoulders, you're locking them into a good position. Looks like you're tightening the lats, and the shoulders are effectively shortening the lever of your torso, but I think that you could get a lot more upright and a little bit more extension out of that mid back, that sort of mid and thoracic, mid and upper back region area. So let's work on trying to get a little bit more upright. Don't change what you're doing with the shoulders because that's really good for limiting the range of motion, letting them hang just a little bit, locking them into the lats. All that's very good. But let's get a little bit more upright, sit that butt down a little bit, and see if we can get a tiny bit more extension out of that mid back. And I think you're gonna be golden, man. You also submitted some pause squats. These look totally fine. So just to say that. So our next submission comes from 18-year-old Matt Meyer. Now, Matt, I love your deadlift, dude. Especially for an 18-year-old guy, very young, just getting into lifting. Things look really good, really good. Let me stress that. One little thing that I think you can do is try to cultivate a little bit more patience off the floor. It looks like in a lot of these reps, you're getting into it and it's pretty tough off the floor, so you're letting those hips shoot up, and that's allowing you to compensate for not being able to lift it in that better, more upright position. So if we can get you to slow things down a little bit in the initial phase of the deadlift, make sure it's staying a push, we're not shifting back. It's just a matter of timing, that's all. Take the extra second, make sure you're pushing a little bit harder and stay that little bit more upright. Other than that, man, your deadlift is awesome. I'm super glad to see it. So please continue what you're doing. It's awesome to see guys your age getting into lifting. You guys are gonna be the ones breaking records some days, so stick with it, man. Anyways, guys, that's it for this episode of Form Check Friday. Thanks again for your submissions. Thank you for tuning in. We're almost into January. By the end of this, we will be into January. Hurrah! That's it for me. Like I said, thanks for tuning in. CalgaryBarbell.com for anything that you might need if you want to get a hold of us. Video submissions, go to CalgaryBarbell2@gmail.com. And that's it. We'll see you next time.